I used to be Alice in Wonderland, Ai-chan said as soon as it was her turn to tell ghost stories at an occult club event. She was a bit of an eccentric girl, and although she was cute, she was the type who would attract unwanted malice and ridicule. However, she herself was always smiling and didn't seem to care about that. She was cute and friendly, and that made her fairly popular with the boys, but some of the girls found her annoying. When Ai-chan started talking in a very eccentric way, one of the seniors immediately interrupted. "You mean the one where you shrink and things look really big?" "Yeah, that's actually something called Alice syndrome, but if you talk about illnesses at a ghost story event, I'm not looking for that kind of horror." A cold mood fell over the unrefined behavior of someone making fun of her story after seeing right through it. However, that atmosphere didn't last long because Ai-chan continued her story without any particular concern, saying, "It's not that kind of story. I was able to get into places that other people couldn't see or go to." "What do you mean?" She continues, "In Alice in Wonderland, the main character chases a rabbit to go to another world, right? It was exactly like that. I was able to see mysterious places that other people couldn't see, and I would just go waltzing in." The way she told the story was different from any ghost story she had told up until then, and the people who had been making fun of Ai-chan kept their mouths shut. Ghost stories and creepypasta gatherings are the kind of place curious people would attend. Their interest in her story probably outweighed any ill feelings they had towards Ai-chan. It started when I was in kindergarten. There was a room that was like a playground that everyone could use and play, and I found a staircase in the corner. There was no way there could be a staircase in a place like that actually. But I was a kid back then, so I went down the stairs out of curiosity. "Well, I guess a kindergartner would go down there," one of the seniors gave a comment. Then, when I went down there was a normal room. There were balls and beanbags, and there were a few other kids playing there besides me. Now that I think about it, I didn't know any of them. Ai-chan was an active child, so she played there for a while and went back to her original room. The stairs were there the next day and the day after that, and she would go downstairs to play in the other room almost every day. But then, those days suddenly came to an end. One day I invited a girl I was close to go downstairs with me, but she couldn't see the stairs anywhere. That's when I realized that I was the only one who could see them, and then, when I looked over, the stairs were gone. I could see them just a moment ago. In the end, I never saw the stairs of the room again. But after that, I went to all kinds of places the other people can't see. Next to my house was a vacant lot overgrown with grass, but sometimes I could see a big house there. A girl came out of the house and invited me inside, and every time I went, I was treated to delicious sweets I'd never seen before. When I told my mother about it later, she scolded me for going into a vacant house by myself, but she didn't believe my story at all. When I went to a shrine festival, I saw someone walking to the back of the temple grounds, so I followed her. There were food stalls and dances there too, and everyone around me was wearing some kind of mask. I didn't have any money, so I went back to my parents to get some, but they told me there was no way there would be a food stall behind the temple grounds. I took my mother's hand and went again, but there wasn't a soul there. Ai-chan also told us stories of several other mysterious spaces. There was the ladder under the hospital bed, the plaza behind the ossuary, and the triangular room that could be reached through a door at the back of the closet. Apparently, there were some things that would disappear if you told people about them, but there were also some things that continued to be visible even after letting someone know. However, it seemed that Ai-chan's time as Alice in Wonderland was not very long. But then when I turned 10, I stopped seeing them all at once. No staircases, nothing anymore. I remember being pretty disappointed when all my secret spaces were gone. Oh, but you kept going in and out of those places. Didn't you cause any trouble? I think it would have looked like you'd suddenly disappeared to the people around you. A friend of Ai-chan pointed out. She seemed genuinely worried. Yeah, it was fine. I think time probably flows different here and there. According to Ai-chan, even if she went into that mysterious place and stayed there for a long time, when she left, no time had passed at all. Even if she stayed there for an hour, when she came back and looked at the clock, only a few minutes had passed. That was what most of the time happened. That's amazing. It's like an invincible secret base. You can play all day and no one will complain, which must be great for a kid. The biggest enemy for a child who is full of fun is time. No matter how much you want to play, you have to go home when the sun goes down. And if you disobey that rule, you'll get a fistful from your parents. Everyone thought that even though there were drawbacks to not being able to bring friends, for a child as strong-willed as Ai-chan, the mysterious space might indeed be a paradise, but Ai-chan gently denied it. But I've never stayed there for that long. She continued with a wry smile and looked into the distance as she was reminiscing about the past. At first, it was really fun. You can shout and not get told off, and you don't have to worry about time. But if you stay there for too long, it starts to get creepy. It's a bit scary, but it's a dreamy, mysterious story. The atmosphere had been a little harmonious after that, but now it's completely quiet. That feeling that makes you think, I have to go home now. Now that I think about it, maybe my instincts were warning me. Warning? That you won't be able to come home. This is a normal scary story. Though it was a little late, the club members realized that this was a story that was appropriate for a ghost story gathering. Just as Ai-chan's story has sent chills down their spines, they moved on to the next story, and that story ended too. And so the ghost story gathering continued without a hitch. Unlike Hyakumonogatari, this was not a gathering where people tell ghost stories with a clear goal in mind, so naturally it ended when the members began to get bored. As they gradually ran out of stories and the reactions to the stories became vague, the gathering came to an end. The next day, Ai-chan stopped coming to the club. When it comes to personal matters, she was a little careless, so everyone assumed that she was probably in a bit of a pickle, forgetting to turn in her assignments or something. But when a notice was sent out from the university requesting information of her, they realized things were serious. It turns out that she had been missing since she left home to go to school the day after the ghost story gathering. Unfortunately, the people around her hadn't heard anything from her and had no idea where she might have gone. However, the sudden disappearance of a beautiful girl from the same club caused a sensational reaction, leading them to start talking about vulgar and inappropriate gossip. Ai-chan was quite the airhead, wasn't she? Maybe she got tempted by a strange man and ran off with him. It could have been something to do with the guy, She was cute. People discussed their theories, one after the other, while others looked on from afar with disapproval. However, no one reprimanded the people who were spreading gossip, and the reputation of the missing person became a topic of conversation. And at that moment, "It's not like that!" a girl who had been silently lurking in the corner of the club room suddenly shouted out loud. That girl was good friends with the missing Ai-chan. Everyone assumed that she had spoken out because she could no longer bear the rumors that mocked the reputation of her friend, whose whereabouts were unknown. Not wanting to be in trouble, the people who had been talking left the room in an uncomfortable mood. "Sorry, we should have stopped them. I'm sure it was annoying to hear such inappropriate talk." Someone called out to her, trying to soothe her as she panted heavily. "No, it's not that." "Huh?" "That girl, it's not like she ran away or anything. Absolutely not. Absolutely not." She opened her eyes wide and kept repeating, which was rather strange. They felt an indescribable discomfort and fear, but the person they were talking to was a girl who was probably hurt by the disappearance of her friend. Thinking that it would be cold-hearted not to listen to her story, someone asked, "What do you mean?" to encourage her to continue. Then the girl suddenly handed over her cell phone. On the screen, there was a message from someone. The first person to look at it exclaimed in surprise because Ai-chan's name was in the sender's field. However, "What is this? Is Ai-chan really the one who sent it?" The few letters were garbled, and it was impossible to read what was written. Looking at the time the email was received, it was the morning after the ghost story gathering. It was obvious that this email had been sent by Ai-chan after she had disappeared. "This wasn't like this at first. It was sent in readable characters." So then, after some time had passed, the characters became garbled and unreadable?" Could something like that really happen? An email that had already been received. How could it become garbled? She nodded, and someone asked timidly, "So, what did it say originally?" Ai-chan's friend answered quietly, 3 words, "Can't get out." To this day, Ai-chan has still not been found. They even reported her email to the police, but they were turned away because they couldn't trace the source from where they came.